Hello, everybody. My name is Tal Laufer, and I'm the VP Product for Perimeter 81. Today, I'm going to talk to you about escaping the cyber complexity with zero trust security. I'm sure in the previous sessions, you've already heard what is zero trust network access, or ZTNA as we call it. And today I would like to give you a better focus on what do the customers actually need? What kind of problems are we solving for them? And why are we designing our product the way we do to solve these problems? So in order to better understand what our customers want and what our potential customer wants, we actually created a survey that was launched to about 700, was responded by about 700 CIOs and VP of security in different companies. And we summarized the result of that survey here for you. I'd like to go over a few points from that survey and explain what are we seeing and why is that important. Of course, you can download this entire survey result as part of this session, and we also have a chat box that can be used for any questions you may have during the session. We will be there to respond. So first of all, hybrid and remote workforce is here to stay. I'm sure this is not a surprise to any of you. The COVID situation has changed our world in ways that we still are we're just now starting to comprehend. What we are seeing in the result is that 87% of the companies that we've surveyed actually said that they believe that their employees will continue to work remotely or in hybrid mode after the COVID is done. That is because a lot of the employees discovered that working from home or working in a hybrid mode actually works for them. Why does it work? It provides improved work-life balance, which is super important to all of us, provides higher employee satisfaction, higher productivity, increased business agility, better sustainability, and decreased expense. So companies would like to actually encourage their employees to continue in this hybrid mode. And what they need to do in order to make that work is to make sure that the employee has access to all the resources they were used to accessing when they were working from the office. We call this WFO, work from office only. As you can see, that only a few of them believe that they will continue to work from office alone. So when an employee is working from home, working from everywhere, they need to guarantee the access and the security of his endpoint, of their endpoint, whether it's mobile or a PC, to the corporate resources, and make sure this access is being done in a secured mode in a way that will not jeopardize the company and will not increase the attack surfaces of the company. Second of all, that cyber attacks are not just news stories. We're all reading about those cyber attacks in the news, but how much do they really affect every company out there? So first of all, you can see a very glaring feedback here in this survey. See how many of our respondents actually said that they have been subject to some kind of cyber attack, whether it's ransomware, phishing, breach, or any other type of attack. The numbers are really amazing. You can see that practically every company has faced some kind of challenge, and I'm sure many more of them will see a lot of these challenges going forward. We were asked also, did they pay ransom to cyber thief? And the numbers here are actually pretty astonishing, even more, because 59% of the respondents said that they paid some kind of ransom to cyber thief. And why were they doing that? They were doing that because the total cost and damages, as you can see from the bottom pie chart here, the cost and the damages are actually quite big for any type of company of any size, right? You can see that only 25% said they didn't, that the total cost of ownership, the total cost of damages from the cyber attacks are none, but any other number above that is pretty high, right? So you can understand that many of our customers and many of the companies and corporates out there are very concerned about what kind of attacks will they be facing going forward, and how much damage and how much is going to be the cost of that damage that is going to inflict on their business. Network attack surfaces are growing. As I mentioned, the move to remote workforce is really exposing the organization to a lot of different cyber threats that were previously unknown or unfaced. First of all, let's see what kind of computing resources are our respondents using. As you can see that many of them have got some kind of presence in the cloud. The vast majority has got almost possibly all of their resources on the cloud or most of the resources on the cloud. This is something that we also see with our customers, as everybody, including the smallest of companies up to the largest of ones, are actually transitioning now to a cloud-based architecture, moving more and more services to the cloud, starting obviously with emails, but also moving to Salesforce in the cloud, other analytics tools in the cloud, of course, AWS or Azure, any kind of public cloud hosting capability. Everybody is moving to the cloud, some faster and some slower, but it is obvious that the cloud is where everybody is going, and it should be the focus of where we try to protect the organization and block any kind of threat. What was the attack surface of your most serious cybersecurity incident, we asked. So the distribution here is kind of big, but it is very interesting. As you can see that there is some attack from the office. Work from office is the blue section over here. Whereas working from home or working from home on a mobile device and working from the office and mobile device are actually, a vast majority of where the attacks are coming from. That means that these devices, both the mobile and the endpoint, are much more exposed to cybersecurity threats. And a lot of threat actors will actually try to use those devices to try to penetrate into the organization's network. Now, the last question on the right here is how has the hybrid distributed workforce affected the complexity of your cybersecurity? Obviously, when you have so many employees moving completely immediately to working from remote locations, that must add some kind of complexity. And indeed, only just a few of them said that it's not as complex. The vast majority, 55% and 12% here, said that it is more complex and significantly more complex. That makes a lot of sense. Again, because when you try to protect the users when they are located everywhere and your cloud resources are also distributed over a lot of cloud vendors, it becomes much harder to protect those resources, and you would need many more tools. Let's look at the tools that these companies have been using. Now, if you look at the company size, you can see that the answers are varied, but the message here is still pretty clear, right? Even the smaller companies are actually seeing a nice number of tools, over 20 tools, and above that, even in the smaller of companies. When the company is growing, when there are more than 1,000 employees that are part of your organizations, more and more tools are required to make everything tick, to make everything work and provide the access and security to each one of the employees to their own applications and what they need in order to do their work. So you can see that for the larger organizations, really, this is a staggering number of 50% of the companies are using 20 tools and above, some of them getting to, above 30 tools to really manage their workforce. This is quite complex, as you must understand. Now, we asked the VPs and the CISOs, how do you find the number of different cybersecurity tools negatively impact your organization ability to detect and prevent threats? And obviously, everybody answered yes. When you have to manage the workforce through 30-something tools, it obviously becomes more complex, and you must have some kind of holes in your protection and in your strategy to protect your users that is derived from the use of all those different tools and potentially the lack of integration between them and the complexity of training your workforce to support all these tools simultaneously. Now, VPs and CIOs often say that, how often does cyber complexity negatively impact your ability to detect and prevent threats? So, of course, the complexity is negatively impacting the ability to detect the threats and prevent them in real time, and leaving the organization open to threats that cannot be handled in real time just because of the lack of tool, the lack of integration, and the confusion in the system that many types of tools and the tool sprawl will actually bring with it. Now let's see how can all these pain points be resolved and how can we take a smart approach into resolving some of the pains that these customers have shown us. First, let's look at how things were before the move to cloud-based security. Before the transition, that most companies were mostly working from the office, sitting in branches or in the headquarters, and they were protected by a security stack that included firewall, secure web gateway, and potentially CASB, all of them sitting on-premise, mostly on appropriate hardware to provide the gateway capability through which all of the users connected. That means that there's a single physical location, mostly the headquarters, through which every user has to connect, even when they're accessing cloud services that are accessed through the World Wide Web. That creates a lot of burden on the headquarters in terms of managing that specific entry point, in terms of hardware, in terms of total cost of ownership, in terms of how to scale, right? When you have many more remote workers, then all of them actually has to access this network, these cloud services through this gateway. And this gateway has to grow very fast and provide the service at all times. Now, another point is that once you have this kind of structure, you have a static non-distributed security perimeter. This is the perimeter. The headquarters and the branches are considered the perimeter, which is kind of protected by the gateways and the physical devices that sit here, but they are not necessarily protecting, as I said, the remote worker and the cloud services. It all sits in one location, and this is very limiting because it does not have any kind of scalability or agility or an ability to add a new service, a new cloud service in a fast and an easy way. Now, what happens if we look at a potential cloud architecture such as the one that Perimeter 81 is providing? When we look at the modern zero trust network security, it is obviously based in the cloud and it is offered as a service. It is providing the value of moving the perimeter to the people, providing the fact that the perimeter is no longer sitting inside a headquarter or a branch, but it is in the cloud, available to anyone, everywhere, without any kind of interference to the user experience. When we are moving to a cloud-based security solution, such as Perimeter, we have a distributed cloud security functionality that can scale as fast as a cloud can scale. We have authentication at points of access, meaning everybody that is accessing the network is going through the authentication process and integration with identity provider services. And that way we can very granularly manage and control which services each one of the users is able to access. The granular control is at the core of the zero trust network access principle. The ability to define per user or per group which applications they are able to access, which locations, which servers is the core of the zero trust, and it provides its value by actually segmenting the network, making sure that no user can access something that should not be accessed. This kind of segmentation or separation is very useful in case of cyber attacks that move laterally inside the organization. When there's one user that is infected, if they have the right permissions, the ability that they have to actually cause damage to the organization is much more limited than it is with a VPN or a traditional gateway-based solution where the user had access to the entire network. By applying the zero trust network security principles, we are verifying that each user is very limited only to what they need to do their job and making sure they have the access to everything they need to do their job, but not a drop above it. Now we would like to tell you about one of our customers that has found it very successful and helpful to deploy Perimeter 81 service. Postman is a company based in San Francisco with above 200 employees in the technology business. They are actually world leading in their domain of collaboration platform for API development. They decided they need to ramp up their security protection of the network and allow their employees to work effectively remotely. So they decided to go with a SASE solution, the Secure Access Service Edge solution, implemented by Perimeter 81. They wanted to actually replace a VPN they had before that was not scalable enough or secure enough. What they needed to do is to replace their VPN and basically the lifeline of the organization immediately in a very fast way and upgrade it to a better security solution. Now, they did have a lot of cloud presence and many employees working from distributed locations, which pose another challenge similar to the one we've seen earlier in the survey. They can be considered as a model company that represents the challenges that we have seen in the survey before. So how did we help Postman? We helped them to integrate our solution in under 1 hour. Our solution is very easy to deploy. In under 1 hour, they were able to create their network and start onboarding their users. Postman was able to deploy hundreds of secure endpoints in less than a month. So it always takes a bit of time to deploy a new technology inside the organization, but we actually managed to help them do this difficult transition in less than a month, just because of the ease of use of our platform and the ability to quickly run and deploy the solution. They exponentially scaled up their network infrastructure and security by deploying the Perimeter 81 solution. And instead of using multiple vendors for different security needs, they only had to work with Perimeter to provide different types of services that they needed. So they deployed zero trust network access, and potentially they can also deploy additional services such as posture check, firewall as a service, secure web gateway, all combined into one management platform that can serve their needs and provide co-location of all the different services inside one platform that can benefit from the synergy of having all those services concentrated in one management console. Now, SASE simplifies security with the convergence. The convergence, as we've seen in the case of Postman, really helped them get rid of some of the services they were using. Multiple solutions and vendors can be provided by one singular SASE provider. And when we are saying one SASE provider, we are talking about one service that can provide the zero trust access, firewall service, DNS security, all those different use cases that are sitting on the bottom here. And they would be serving the users, whether they are in the branch, in the headquarters, or remotely, whether they are using an agent-based access or an agentless access. And they can access both the internal resources as well as the SaaS applications that they are using. Then also verify that even when they are just using the internet for personal or business uses, they are also protected and no malware can actually be downloaded into the endpoint and spread laterally from that point. The SASE offers IT professionals even greater granular control over corporate network security. As I mentioned, we do provide the ability to look at each one of the types of users, whether they are in groups or users, and really make sure that each one of them have the right permissions and the right access to the right resources. So each point of this star over here can be controlled and managed granularly in terms of security. Now, Perimeter has been recognized as the Forrester ZTNA leader. And we are super proud of this achievement, and really feel that this is a validation to the hard work that we are putting into creating a simple tool, a simple system that can first converge many types of security services and still keep the simplicity of deployment and simplicity of management. Forrester mentioned that Perimeter 81 reference customers are among the most enthusiastic of those included in this evaluation. They extol the vendor's relationship, support, and dedication to improving the product quickly. So, as Forrester mentioned, we are investing a lot of thought and a lot of resources in making sure that deploying our services is done in a quick and easy manner. We also provide intuitive modern management, something that is going to be very easy for your workforce to learn and onboard. And we have an industry-leading customer support that has also won a lot of prizes and keeps our customers very happy and really willing to expand and grow with Perimeter 81. Thank you. Thank you for your time. If there are any questions, feel free to write them down in the chat box and we will be responding.